Friends, welcome to the Teresa Lusk Show. I'm Teresa Lusk, your host, and I'm here with my friend Carlos Carpizo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for having me on your show. It's an honor.
Thank you. You know, I brought Carlos on today because I think he's definitely an asset. We're going to cover a topic that a lot of times we don't even think about, but let me just tell you just a little bit about Carlos. You are a thought leader with over 25 years of international experience, having lived in the United States, Europe, and Latin America. And you are an author. That book is called Riks of Greatness. Sounds like a great book, Carlos. But you know, one of the things that Carlos is very passionate about is the Gen Z. Tell us a little bit about that, Carlos.
Absolutely, and thanks again for having me. Yes, I'm very passionate about my book, but of course I'm biased. Even though it's meant mainly for Gen Zs, I think it applies to all of us because we're all at risk. However, at risk of greatness if we have the right focus, if we have the right mindset. And now it's becoming more and more evident with the acceleration of AI and wide availability now of AI. I published in December of 2020, and I could already foresee that was happening. And as of the end of last year, it really hit us like a brick on the face, right? With all the hoopla about generative AI and ChatGPT. Well, it's not going to get any slower. It's going to get even faster.
Okay.
And yes, I'm focused on Gen Zs. That's my passion. That's my purpose. And I do it for the Gen Zs that are already in the workforce, the ones that will be joining the workforce, because Gen Z is about a third of the global population today. They will be 30% of the workforce by 2025, and will only grow from there. And also because we have, between the US and Mexico, pre-pandemic, about 18 million at-risk youth, opportunity youth, there's different terms. And it's not only the right thing to do to bring them back into the workforce as soon as possible, but it's also much better for society, for individuals. It costs us less money to bring them back into the workforce and contributing, so we can be more competitive as a region globally against rivals like China.
So that's what you're doing, is you're helping the Gen Z come back into the workforce. Is that what I'm hearing you correctly?
Yes, for the ones that are at risk.
The ones that are at risk. What makes them at risk?
Well, because they're either not employed in education or training, or if they are employed, they're underemployed. We all know someone that would have much higher capacity to do a more value-add work than what they're currently doing. And to me, that's underemployment. And to be competitive as a region globally, we cannot leave any human capital behind. We need to have everybody contribute more value-add than doing jobs that are going to be replaced by machines, whether it's a robot or an AI engine. Right?
Yeah. Wow. That's a powerful statement. We can't leave any human capital behind. I love that. I love that. Especially, you know, conservatives we love capitalism. We love our money. But how are you accomplishing this? What exactly is your part that you're playing to help the Gen Z be able to really maximize their greatness? Is really what I'm hearing you say.
That's a great way to put it. The way we're doing it is for the at-risk youth or opportunity youth. We do it through a workshop, which we call Switch, where in 2 afternoons we help them switch into a success mindset. Because those Gen Zs, what they really need is motivation and tools. So we give them the motivation, and we give them some tools. We couldn't possibly give them a lot of tools in 2 afternoons, but they're motivated to go out and seek additional tools themselves. And we bring them organizations that open up their eyes to some possibilities of where can they take their careers, you know, job training on a technical aspect, and they can follow up with some of these organizations that we bring them, or find many others out there doing a great job in the different communities across the U.S.-Mexico border. So that's the at-risk youth. And then for the youth or the Gen Zs that are already in the workforce, what corporations are seeing, and we get confirmation from all different verticals, whether it's manufacturing or banking or technology services, is Gen Zs join a job and they last but a few months and then they're gone.
Okay.
And one big reason why there's such a big rotation with Gen Zs, in addition to what we've now come to know as the Great Resignation, is that they're not being assessed or developed the way they're used to.
Wow, that's a
if
really
we're
good
trying
point.
to assess them and develop them using just a series of prompts or questions, which are normally assessments of 80 questions or more, we lose them because they don't have that attention span.
Right.
And they're used to something that's more immersive, like video games, for example.
Sure.
So that's what we're doing through a VR town with mini games where while they play, we measure.
Well, that's a really interesting thing that you're saying, because I think there's always, to some degree, a disconnect within generations, because every generation has their language. Let's just be honest, right? We each have our own language, and I think that you're hitting it when you're talking about the Gen Z. How do they learn? How do they get motivated? And I'm a little bit of an older generation, right? So for me, I'm like, wow, that's not, it's frustrating. Why do we have to keep accommodating? Unfortunately, that's just where we are. That's just what they learned, that they were in the world of technology a lot stronger than we were, even my generation, your generation. And so if we want to see this generation and the younger ones coming succeed, then that is something to take in consideration. So you're using the AI world to kind of present this. So how are you doing that? How are you joining with corporate America? What is the goal there to join with corporate America to reach this generation, to keep them motivated, but also give them the tools?
Absolutely. And let me just, before I answer that question, highlight something that you mentioned, which is very, very important. And the term that I use for it is immersive. For you and me, maybe a book in print is immersive, right? And we can read it and we go like, wow, this is amazing. Well, not for Gen Zs.
Correct.
Because something that characterizes Gen Zs is that they're the first generation that grows up with a smartphone on their hands.
Okay.
And that makes them unique because they're used to smartphones and screens and using technology. So if we are now presenting them with a beginning of the internet era solution of filling out a questionnaire online, well, sorry, that's not immersive to them. It's not going to capture their hearts. We all do things because our heart really tells us to, right?
Sure.
If not, it's just following instructions.
Yeah.
And young adults, I'm sure you were too and I was too, we tend to be rebellious. So it's not that we're going to do something because they tell us to do it. It's because we're convinced that that we want to do it. And Gen Zs today, they're I think ahead of us in a lot of different areas where they do have purpose and they're worried about making sure that they live in a planet and leave a planet that is sustainable, for example. That's a very good thing. But then how do we make sure that any tools that we present to them are immersive? That's where we need to meet them where they live, what they're used to. And that's why we came up with this idea of taking a VR town with mini games and gamification, because they get rewards and that's something that they're used to. So when corporations are focusing on the things that are critical to the corporation, which is productivity, engagement, and retention, we are measuring behaviors that are conducive for the young adults to be more productive, be more engaged, and stay in corporations. They're not going to stay for life because I think that employment for life is gone. That's not coming back. But when you see a corporation that struggles because they have to rehire and retrain every few months, they would greatly benefit from a solution that allows young adults to stay for a number of years. That's already a 10x compared to just staying a few months. That's what we're doing with a solution that we call Metamorph,
Okay.
which is a play with words, metaverse and metamorphosis.
Okay. Before you go there, though, do you feel like corporate America is going to respond to this? How do you see the response?
We've gotten very good responses so
Okay.
far, because we just launched a beta app,
Okay.
and we're piloting with corporations to make sure that when we release the commercial product, it's going to be a tight fit. We're getting very good feedback.
Okay.
We thought we had a minimum viable product, and we realized as good entrepreneurs that no, it was not quite there.
Okay.
Feedback we got from interested corporations and from investors. So now we've been working on another iteration. So we're integrating another validated assessment, because we were really innovative and we were looking forward, and corporations were telling us, well, but we see where you're headed, we like it, but you need to give us something more tangible, something that we can measure today, not
Okay.
down the road.
Sure.
So we know there's interest, and now we're working on this second iteration that we will release in a few weeks,
Okay.
and we expect that that's gonna, lead into great business for us, of course,
Sure.
because we're capitalists.
Of course.
That's why
yeah,
we do
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and for corporations and society at large as well.
I think that's a good idea. I wonder what it would be like, and this has nothing to do necessarily with the Gen Z, but I'm thinking about it for the older generations, what it would be like for them, because we struggle technologically. My assistant's 20, she's so young. And I mean, I don't even know half of the stuff she does. I don't even know how I would get through in my day with her. So I'm thinking if these corporations were to implement this, how it would fit with other people, and what would that look like in corporate America? Be just an interesting thought.
It is an interesting thought. I mean, we're not too focused on that, because
Sure.
one of our differentiating factors is that we are targeting Gen Zs.
Sure. Yeah.
Because again, they're going to be 30% of the workforce by 2025, and we'll only grow from there. But we believe that you, me, and it has happened in the past, we tend to adapt to the newer technologies. It's just that it takes us longer than
Yes, much longer.
than the young adults that grew up immersed in it.
Yeah.
I think it will be used, because you brought up a very good point. There's millions of adults that will need to be reskilled,
Yes.
because AI and automation is going to cause an upheaval in a lot of different
Yeah.
jobs and markets, and adults won't have time to go back to college, won't have time to take 2 years off of work to reskill. And this is where some of these technological solutions are going to help them, I believe, reskill, retrain.
Sure.
And reskill on what? This is something that I have on my book, is the 5 C's that are critical for the 21st century. And that's curiosity, critical thinking, creative thinking, collaboration, and communication.
Okay.
If we do that, if we develop those skills, then we will be in good position not to have to compete with a machine.
What are the benefits of your book? Is it only for Gen Zs, or is it for everybody? What are some things that we can get out of the book? Because I like to take something, like I like printed books. So
Me too.
and I'm just like, I want to carry it with me wherever I go. But tell us a little bit about your book. Like, who does it benefit? What can we gain from it?
I mainly wrote it to address it to the young adults, the Gen Zs.
Okay.
But I also had in mind that other segments would benefit from it, meaning the parents of the Gen Zs, the teachers of the Gen Zs, entrepreneurs that want to understand the disruption that is happening and how to benefit from it.
Okay.
So now I've come up with more than the 5 C's that I just mentioned, to try to make it a little bit broader. And I came up with a concept that I'm going to be pushing going forward, which is how to outsmart AI with 8 C's.
Okay.
So it's the 5 C's that I mentioned for critical 21st century skills. Again, curiosity, critical thinking, creative thinking, collaboration, and communication.
Okay.
But also character, consciousness, and coevolution.
Okay, hold your thoughts right there. So I'm sitting here with Carlos Carpizo, and the name of your company?
Kosmos.
Okay, Kosmos with a K.
With a K,
okay,
yes.
With a K. And he is the author of Riks of Greatness. So I was just talking to him about this book and the benefits. Is it only for Gen Z? But I heard a lot of things as an entrepreneur myself. I've heard some things that would benefit me to even understand that younger generation and what our world may look like, what it's looking like already, really, and what it will continue to evolve into. So you're talking about the 5 C's, and then you've added a few. So this book is really beneficial, would you say, for people who just want to understand this, but also entrepreneurs?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
And I do finish every chapter with a set of questions. Because there's a lot that we don't know, that we have yet to find out. And it would be wrong on my part to advocate for curiosity and not throw a number of questions there. Why? To stimulate even more questions.
That's good.
Because we need to ask more questions. And something that I've said, and I proved right, asking questions of ChatGPT, is machines are great at finding answers, not at asking questions.
That's true. That's true. And you said you have OCD, which is obsessive curiosity disorder,
yes.
which leads you to asking a lot of questions. I know when we had a conversation as we were preparing for this interview, and I don't always do that. I don't usually get on the phone, but I'm glad I did, because we got on a Zoom call, we were able to just break down a whole lot of the idea of this, because I'll be honest with you, this was kind of a new concept to me, and it made me go, why does he care so much about Gen Z? What was it that made you go, this is something worth focusing on that I think I could champion? Because did you leave a whole high-level profession to do this?
I switched careers, yes.
So what was the
why? Because I'm the proud father of 2 Gen Zs, and I realized some of the needs that not only my sons had, but their generation. Why? Because we gave them a very powerful tool by letting them grow with a smartphone, and like any advanced technology, it had some unintended consequences. Now, those unintended consequences, which take time for us to develop and start mitigating those unintended consequences. There are a lot of technology companies that are benefiting for profit from those unintended consequences. So a lot of technological companies are preying on your attention, on mine, on everybody's attention,
right.
because
yes.
their business model is to keep our eyes glued to a screen, whether it's a small screen, a medium screen, or a large screen. And that's causing great damage, especially to young adults whose brains aren't fully developed and are more prone to fall into those hooks. So that's one of the reasons. Now, another reason is just the sheer numbers. When I found out that pre-pandemic, when I published the book, we had about 18 million at-risk youth between the U.S. and Mexico. I just found that hard to fathom, that we could end up living with that many millions of zombies if we don't address them correctly. For example, something that people ask me, and it's a good question, is, well, why don't you work with children? And what I answer is, sure, let's catch them early. But what if you didn't catch them early? Then are they going to be lost souls? No, we need to bring them back into the workforce so they can really contribute to all our benefits. And we all need to be really concerned with it, because Gen Zs are the ones that are going to be determining, just in a few years, what your future or mine is going to be. We already had the first Gen Z representative from Florida, right?
Yes, yeah.
And they're going to continue to be taking positions of decision making, of power, and we want for them to be the best version of themselves they can be, because that's going to help us as you and I start riding into the sunset, and we need to rely on others to make sure that we are going to be able to continue to live a good life decades down the road.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that you have the heart for that. I think I tell people everybody has their lane. Everybody has a lane that they've been called to, that I believe God has just put them in and said, this is what I've called you to do, and this is what you'll champion. And, we can't all fix everything, and we can't all solve every problem. So I love that you took this on. I'll be honest, I think I was clueless until I talked to you about this generation. Even when I first met you and when he gave me his card, friends, I mean, I was like, what does he do? You left my mind just going in circles for a while. And then we sat down and I began to understand it a little bit. I'm not an expert in any way, but I think it's interesting. I think it's admirable to watch somebody take it on and champion it and go, well, this is part of our future. And, if people don't appreciate it for the sake of it's a generation that needs to be tended to, at least because you care about your money and you tie in the money part with this. And, of course, we want you to care more about just your money. But I think that's great. So thank you for doing that. What are some things that you would like?
Thank you for allowing me to share some of these concepts with your audience. I would love to expand on it, but of course, this is a bit of ABC. Always be closing. Buy the book. You can find it on Amazon, and hopefully you can get a lot of golden nuggets out of the writing.
Sure. What would you like to say to our viewers as we get to the closing part? What would you like to say to them? Something that really they can take home and chew on.
Oh, I'm so sorry that we're getting to the end of this. It has really flown. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, time goes by.
Just continue to focus on developing 21st century skills and character, because character is very, very important. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure that we ask the questions. We don't let any machine ask the questions, because they're not going to ask the questions trying to find an answer that is advancing our human condition, and we cannot afford to do that.
Wow.
Machines need to be serving us, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And something that I haven't brought up, but it's a critical component of the book and what we're doing, is the importance of arts to keep us human. Mm-hmm. Because we need to differentiate from machines. And yes, a machine can generate a piece of artwork that can in turn generate feelings that we tend to then think that they can be human-like. But machines don't have feelings. They're not conscious.
That's right.
We can think that they do, but they don't. That's exclusive to us humans.
Sure.
And especially when it comes to younger generations, focusing on developing the 21st century skills through arts, any type of art, whether it's music, whether it's theater. In the Switch project, we do it, or workshop, we do it with drawing. Any type of art is going to be very, very important.
So your book is called At Risk of Greatness, and you also have it in Spanish. What is the title?
Also in Spanish.
How do you
Jóvenes en riesgo de grandeza.
Okay, very good. So if you want the book in Spanish or English, and then what's the website so that our friends could go and learn more about this?
If you go to atriskofgreatness.org, atriskofgreatness.org, that's where you can find the links to the books in both English, Spanish, and the audiobook, which is in English.
And social media?
Social media, Carlos Carpizo. I'm on LinkedIn, on Twitter, not much of an Instagram user. I totally stay clear from TikTok.
Okay. Well, there's no way to connect with the Gen Z. You got to get on the TikTok. So, okay. So Carlos Carpizo, that's with the Z, Carpizo. Carlos, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show and educating me and my viewers and maybe stirring up a little something for the future. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for having me here. Truly appreciate it. An honor. And hopefully your audience will get a few golden nuggets from this conversation.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, my friends. Carlos Carpizo, he is the author of At Risk of Greatness. Go out and get you a copy. You can find it wherever books are sold online.
Yep.
Get you a copy and get ready to help him equip the Gen Z. Thank you so much for joining, and God bless you.